Shalom, family. I hope everybody is doing well. We're going to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy. He actually did a Turning Point USA event. He's running for governor of Ohio. So he's trying to get support, I guess, from the white supremacists. And things did not go so well. He is a Hindu. And these white supremacists, they are Christians. And they pretty much got up and dragged his ass for being a Hindu. Now, let me just say this to the coons and the raccoons and coonettes or whatever you are out here. You can be as white as you want on the inside. But one thing I can tell you, what you look like on the outside will always supersede how much you line up with white people. They don't care if you agree with them on every single thing. Eventually, that same crowd is going to turn on you because they are superficial people. They go by what they see on the outside and they can't get past that melanin. And that is the way it is. Being white on the inside don't count. Okay? It don't count at the end of the day. And nobody cares about that. So let me share my screen so we can get started so you can see exactly what happened to him. And just at times you would look at the expression on his face. And I said, good, you need a dose of the racism, because we're never going to forget how racist this dude was on the campaign trail. It will never be forgotten. And yeah, let him keep feeling that. He needs to. I will never forget how Ann Coulter told him right to his face she wouldn't vote for him because he was Indian. And his face almost fell on the floor. Serve you right, Vivek. That's all I got to say. All right, so let me share my screen so we can get started. Okay. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Is our goal to defeat the left, or is our goal to save the country? Last year, I believe these goals were one and the same. But going forward, I don't think they quite are. Last month at Charlie's memorial service, his wife, Erica, bravely stated that she forgave Charlie's killer. Yet at the same time, that murderer will also be executed by lethal injection after he's convicted. An outcome that I, like many of you, believe is just. Those two things are not contradictory. Both of those things are consistent with Charlie's Christian faith. Both of those things are consistent with the values that our nation was founded on. And there's deep wisdom in Erica Kirk's lesson for our country and for our movement. See, on one hand, we conservatives have an obligation, and now more than ever, to stand up for truth over falsehood, to stand up for the truth that God is real, to stand up for the truth that there are two genders, to stand up for the truth that reverse racism is racism, that an open border is not a border, that the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to the history of mankind. And yet we can still stand for those truths while viewing those who believe in falsehoods not quite as our enemies who must be conquered, but instead as our fellow citizens who have lost their way and must be shown the light, not to berate them and banish them, but to pray for them, and even on rare occasions to actually persuade them, while still beating them soundly at the ballot box to make sure that their misguided ideas never turn into law. We win with ballots, not bullets. That's who we are. That's who we are as Americans. That's the choice we face ahead. Do we play the left's game? silencing, canceling, punishing, authorizing the government to pick winners and losers in the private sector? Or do we stick to the principles of the American founding? Freedom, merit, the rule of law, the pursuit of excellence. It is a fork in the road for our movement, and I believe the answer is crystal clear. We don't care about owning the libs, not anymore. We care about owning responsibility for saving our country. It is not just about what we stand against, but what we actually stand for. Individual, family, nation, and God beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate. If we have the courage to stand for what is right, what is true, what is good, what is beautiful, that has always been the American way. It means that we're ambitious to achieve the things that we were taught to believe were impossible, from landing on the moon to landing on Mars. It means that just like our founding fathers, we are deeply curious about the world that we inhabit, and that it is our manifest destiny to lead it, not for our own sake, but for the sake of history and posterity. It means that we believe the legacy of our founding fathers is immortal. It means that we believe the soul of the United States of America is immortal. It means we believe that America's purpose in the world is immortal, and that we have a moral mandate to preserve it. That is who we are as Americans. That was the spirit that Charlie Kirk tried to revive on college campuses, like the one where we convene tonight. That's what he fought for. And if we're being honest, we've lost our conviction in that American dream. And for Gen Z, I can understand why. Right now, it feels like the job market feels like an illusion to young college graduates who face a tough job market with debt on their shoulders. Home ownership feels like an illusion to young workers who feel like they've done their part, but still can't get ahead. Free speech feels like an illusion when you watch the people who share your viewpoints assassinated in cold blood for expressing them. I say this as the proud son of legal immigrants to the United States. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law.
Over the past year, prior to his assassination, Charlie Kirk became increasingly against legal immigration. And I know over Christmas you had defended it on Twitter numerous times. I'm wondering if you've changed your view at all in talking to Charlie about this. I've worked myself in an immigration office for a number of years and have very much become against a lot of the legal immigration we see. So I'm curious if your views have changed on that.
I would say my views have been pretty consistent over time, and they're consistent with what I reflected in my speech, which let's start with where we need to begin. I think, based on your question, I assume we would find alignment here, but I hope we do. We have double-digit numbers of millions of people who entered the country illegally. And my view is if you entered the country illegally, it is perfectly just for you to be returned to your country of origin. We haven't done that. So
I agree. Let's do that first. Focus on that first. But
and that would constitute something where we have still 10+ million numbers to go before we get to that question. Now, the separate question is, what should the legal immigration policy of the United States look like? Is the legal immigration policy of the United States right now serving the best interests of our country?
No.
I think the answer to that question is no. I agree with you. We need a legal immigration system that accomplishes one thing. Does it serve the interests of the United States citizens who are already here? Well, the goal of U.S. immigration policy is to serve the Americans who already reside here. Then we have a question of what a merit-based system looks like. Now, the White House took some steps recently to say that, you know what, people should have to pay more to be able to actually hire someone from another country. I think that's actually a reasonable approach. If somebody's asked to put their money where their mouth is, that's a reasonable approach for framing the question of how we think about legal immigration to the United States. But I think that that is a tough question. We're going to have to roll up our sleeves and actually ask the question, what best advances the interests of the citizens who are already here? And a precondition for even having that debate is actually to have ended the illegal immigration crisis in this country that we can't just sweep under the rug to punt for this other complicated question ahead of us. That's where I land.
Call yourself a Hindu, but you also call yourself Christian.
I don't call myself Christian. What's your faith?
Hinduism believes in Shiva.
Do you think it's inappropriate for someone who's a Hindu to be, say, a U.S. president?
No, I think it's no. Well,
why don't you just read the part 3 to the audience?
No religious test shall ever be required as qualification to any office. I have a personal question.
That's allowed.
So based on the press, based on what the press says about your beliefs, you call yourself a Hindu, but you also call yourself Christian.
I don't call myself Christian. I call myself a Hindu.
Okay. So based on what the turning point's values are, which is Christianity, I'm a little confused on why you believe in I don't know. Wouldn't it be logical to conclude that a monotheistic organization would be more, I don't know, I guess I just don't understand why I guess a polytheistic ideology would support some sort of, I guess, monotheistic perspective which Christianity is. So I guess I'm wondering why you have Christian values in that way.
Sure. Happy to address that. What's your name, sir?
Liam Birmingham.
Liam. So tell me about what you know about Hinduism.
Hinduism is a polytheistic religion that.
So with due respect, I'll just cut in right there because there's one thing I have a little bit of authority on. I'm actually a monotheist. I believe there's one true God. It's from the Vedanta tradition of Advaita philosophy, not stuff that we need to spend a ton of time here on. But since you asked about it, I wanted to address it. I believe there's one true God. Now let me just ask you, because I know that may be a hard thing to process. What's your faith?
I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus.
Great. Do you believe in the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit?
I think a lot of people here do. So
good. And that doesn't make you a polytheist, does it?
Probably not. No.
Great. Because I think this is is a great spiritual question. There's good dialogue here. Is every religion has its reconciling of the one and the many. And so in my faith, I believe there's one true God. He resides in all of us, and he appears in different forms, but it's one true God. So I'm an ethical monotheist. That's the way I would describe my faith. Now, I will tell you, I'm not running to be pastor of Ohio. I'm running to be governor of Ohio, and I didn't run to be pastor of America. I ran to be president of the United States of America. Can I ask you a question in response? Because I love dialogue like this.
Sure, yeah.
Do you think it's inappropriate for someone who's a Hindu to be, say, a U.S. president?
No, I think it's, no, well.
You be honest.
Isn't Hinduism, well, I mean, I can ask yourself that Hinduism believes in Shiva and what is it? The flute god. I forget.
Right, Krishna, who's you're thinking of.
Yeah, Krishna.
So the one thing for you to take away from about my faith is I'm an ethical monotheist. I believe in one true God, the Advaita philosophy of Vedanta, and I think that as you think about the Holy Trinity and what that means for you're not a polytheist either. That's a similar philosophy, and I'd love to kind of continue that over a religious dinner conversation sometime. But
you also call yourself a Hindu as well.
I'm a Hindu. I am a Hindu. So I'd like to. So we're here mostly. I love having spiritual discussions. We can continue this another time. What I'd like to focus on today, though, is actually where that leaves us with the values of our own country, the shared values of this country, and actually, to that effect, what's your name?
Liam Birmingham.
Liam, I have something I'd like to give you. Would you like to just come on stage and join me for a moment? It's something that's really important to me. It's next to my faith and to my family. This is the next most important thing to me in life. I usually keep it with me, and for tonight, I think it'll actually be really useful for having you come up here. And I'd love to give it to you. You want to join us for a second? Give Liam a round of applause, folks, for being brave and asking a tough question. Thank you, Liam. So what I'm about to give you is something that's actually near and dear to my heart. When I think about our journey of leadership in this country, what matters more than the differences in our faith is our shared value set. And next to my faith and my family, this is the next most important thing to me. This is the Constitution of the United States of America. I'm going to give you my copy from today. And there's 7 articles in it. I'll ask you to just open it up real quick to Article 6, if you will, for a second. And I think it's actually, we talk about the Constitution a lot in our country, and I love that. One of the things I love about it is it actually makes sense to read the Constitution from time to time. It's a good thing to actually read. So we'll go to Article 6. There's 7 articles in it. And why don't you just read the Part 3 to the audience. We'll make this our constitutional reading for the day.
The senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several states legislators and all executives and judicial officers both in the United States and several states shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious text shall ever be required as qualification to any office or public trust under the United States.
You are an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who...
This is so funny because it shows you that all these South Asian men, especially who have become these big Trump supporters, they're not one of them. They're like, wait a second, like I'm white on the inside. They don't see that. Like you can see Vivek's like hairline trying to run away from the situation, or like Kash Patel in that one interview where they're like, we hope this person was a person of color. For so long, first generation immigrant South Asian Indian people have been told to assimilate to white standards. They might see themselves, or we might see ourselves as an American first and foremost. But the problem is, most of America does not see us this way. You know how many people ask me if I do yoga? If I pray 5 times a day? I grew up Catholic in Iowa. America will always be racist against people of color. You know, this is why like people like Zohran Mamdani have resonated so much with people. It's because he's so authentic about who he is. He knows his identity. He's not trying to cosplay. He's not like, you know, a typical South Asian candidate like Kamala Harris or Nikki Haley, who really try to appease white voters in their identity. Yeah, Vivek, you deserve this.
Jesus Christ is God, and there is no other God. He's part of the Holy Trinity, and any other God is a demon, and it's false. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith? If you are an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is today, what are you conserving? You are bringing change. I'll be 100% honest with you. Christianity.
First and foremost, I want to say good for Vivek here. He was able to experience the politics of white supremacy that he adopted and assimilated into, only to get chewed up and spit out. As a former white Christian nationalist, I am speaking from experience, not something I watched in a movie or read in a book. This is a real life experience. To all black and brown people, white Christian conservatives, especially MAGA, will only like you or promote you if you know your place. Look at Candace Owens. She was a MAGA darling, a star, until she got out of line. When she decided to dance to the beat of her own drum set, this is what they had to say about her. But the truth is, black and brown people already know this about white Christian nationalists. So to white people, recognize this truth and change. You notice how the kid in the video said that 64% of Ohio is Christian? How can you represent us as being Hindu? What he really wanted to say was 76% of Ohio is white. How can you represent us being a brown man? But as they say, there's no hate like Christian love. It's easier to masquerade their racism and their xenophobia under the guise of their Christian faith. The vast majority of them spewing this ignorance don't even know what Hinduism is. Hell, the vast majority of them have never read their Bible. But I love it when they say that this country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. Our founding fathers, the signers of the Declaration of Independence, were all Protestant Christians. You know what else they were? Slave owners, at least half of them, and for the other half, it wasn't a deal breaker. Much like MAGA Republicans today, half of them are openly and explicitly racist, and the other half, it's not a deal breaker for them. But honestly, I'm really glad that Vivek got to experience this running for governor of Ohio. He got to see that people in MAGA will not like you based on your religion, your skin color, your sexual orientation, and your sexual preference. No matter how much you do your little dance, Vivek, white racist people will not pick you.
Jesus Christ is God, and there is no other God. And any other God is a demon, and it's false. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith?
Christian voices should be the main voice of America, and I want to know, basically, why you seem to be, and I don't mean to be horribly offensive, but why you seem to be masquerading as a Christian.
I don't call myself Christian. I call myself a Hindu. I'm not running to be pastor of Ohio. I'm running to be governor of Ohio, and I didn't run to be pastor of America. I ran to be president of the United States of America. Do you think it's inappropriate for someone who's a Hindu to be, say, a U.S. president?
No, I think it's no. Well,
You be honest.
Because you're an Indian.
Never thought that would leave my face. I never thought that would leave my face. They bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought that would leave my face. Now I never thought that would leave my face. I never thought that would leave my face. Bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought the birds would eat Visit shop.francesca.net to get your Leopards Ate My Face merch. Ahora en español.
Now, Vivek Ramaswamy, are you starting to get it now? You went to that Turning Point USA event. You took your brown ass there in front of all them white people to try to convince them that you are somehow going to be a good choice to be governor of Ohio. Ohio, the state that I come from, that super white ass state. And them white folk flamed you, and they told you what they really think about you. That white boy went and said, Jesus is God and Christianity is the only religion. If you pray to any other religion, you are praying to a demon. He said you and what you pray to was on demon time. And they sat there and criticized, why would a brown Hindu man be the governor of Ohio? White Christian interests should be upheld. They don't want to be told what to do by a brown man. That's what you don't seem to get yet. You will only ever invited into those spaces because you were Donald Trump's little whipping boy. And you got to go up there and parrot all of Donald Trump's talking points in a manner that was more concise because you can actually functionally read. And then once Trump got back into office, all of you pick-me's had outlived your usefulness. That's why they got rid of your ass at Doge, because you was a brown man in a white space trying to talk. And they didn't need your ass no more. So they kicked you to the curb. And you think that all of a sudden you got a shot in Ohio. And I need to be honest, when I think about these pick-me's, when I think about these emotional support coons, I have come to the conclusion that y'all actually have a humiliation fetish. You have a humiliation kink. Because you can actually go up there and parrot white supremacist talking points. When these same white supremacists, like, we voted for Donald Trump, we voted for a man who promised mass deportations. And when we're talking about mass deportations, they're talking about your ass. They're talking about your parents' ass who immigrated here. But you still don't get it yet. Because you actually think that you're one of the good ones. You're so steeped in your anti-blackness that you really think they'll ever have a seat for you. And they never will. And I know that while you like to get your rocks off while they're insulting you, that impacts other brown folk down the line.
What up, black folks? If you didn't know, now you know. Shout out to Biggie. But I'm talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah. If you thought you could ever be white, them white kids at that organization where I've fallen and I can't get up, co-founded, yeah, them white kids showed you, or pretty much told you, you could never be one of us. Vivek. And your dumb ass should have known that. I'm glad you monkey motherfuckers are learning who these people are. These people who call themselves Christians. Those little devils you was debating with at Turning Point. Yeah, I hope you see that. But you're gonna learn. You know, just like that dumb motherfucker down there in Florida, the black guy, Byron McDonald, Ronald McDonald Byron, black, he gonna find out too. You could never be one of them, white. And they're telling it to you, to your fucking face. So I love that for you. So yeah, the truth shall be known. Peace.
The extreme elements of any party will not accept all members, even if they believe in their ideology. Because sometimes you can't just be part of the way in. You got to be all the way in. You got to not only believe what they believe, but you got to look the right way. You got to dress the right way. You got to be perfect for you to be in the club. And Vivek Ramaswamy is finding that out. Check this out. The Ohio gubernatorial candidate was at a Turning Point USA event in Montana, running for office in Ohio, but he was in Montana. And he was speaking at Montana State University, and he was getting some disturbing questions. Let me just share some of the stuff that people said. He says, one person said, a male student, Jesus Christ is God and there's no other God. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith? If you are an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is. What are you conserving? You're bringing change. I'll be 100% honest with you. Christianity is the one truth. And then a female student said that Ramaswamy was masquerading as a Christian. And he responded, he says, I'm an ethical monotheist. That's the way I would describe my faith. He asked, do you think it's appropriate for someone who's a Hindu to be president of the United States? And this was her response. No. But isn't Charlie Kirk's organization founded on Christian values as well? And isn't America based on what Protestantism is and based on how those values are? Wouldn't that contradict what your beliefs are? You see, the point I've been trying to make for a long time, for many years, especially to black and brown people who are conservatives, legitimately conservatives, believe in conservative principles, whether it be political ideology or financial conservatism, they believe in it. But for the extremes in the MAGA movement, they still don't get into the club because they don't look the right way and they don't pray the right way. Just believing in MAGA principles, political principles, is not enough. So for those of you out there that believe that you're going to be accepted, for a lot of them, you're not going to be accepted. You're never going to get in that club. When you show up with your membership card, it's going to be stamped. He's kind of in, but he ain't all the way in. That's just the way it is. And these are young people. This is the future of organizations like Turning Point USA, obviously, a lot of young folks, and maybe the future of MAGA. So Vivek Ramaswamy's finding out the hard way. Because just because you believe what they believe, it doesn't get you in the club. Your skin's still too brown. Your faith may not stack up to what they believe is the only faith, like the guy said, the only God. You may not look the right way, you may not pray the right way, therefore they'll never let you in. Just when you thought you were there, they'll remind you you're not even close.
Now, some of my friends on the right, good friends on the right, will argue that now isn't the time to go soft, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya.
Here's what I think.
I think you have to defeat it and destroy it.
Evil still walks among us.
Have to fight.
Not to ignore it for the sake of a fake Kumbaya moment.
We have to remember what time it is in America. That's how the argument
The
goes.
radical left is causing the
If we
problem.
don't utilize the levers of power now,
Clean it up real quick.
if we don't stamp out toxic dissent now,
And they should have fired him
if
a
we
long
don't
time
rectify
ago.
the country
They're
now,
out of control.
then we never will. And that we have a short window to act right now, and we got to step up and seize the moment.
quickly,
and even
as
if we
they
show
say.
restraint and even grace ourselves, the left won't show us that same courtesy when they're in power, which means that their side may win in the long run.
I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left, and they better not get them energized because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. It'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left. And we don't want that. But the radical left is causing this problem, not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games.
It is called the American dream for a reason. There's no such thing as a Canadian dream. There's no such thing as a British dream. There's no such thing as a Chinese dream. The American dream is distinctive. It is what makes American exceptionalism possible.
Vivek Ramaswamy went on down to a Turning Point USA event and was quickly shown why he will never, ever, 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 ever be accepted by them in the capacity that he wants to be. He is good as a show person. He's good as a distraction. He's good to further their agenda up to a point. But they will never line up behind him as their leader, as their president, as their whatever. Because those people, they care about one thing, and that is what is on their skin. Now, you can drape it with the Christian nationalism thing, but in general, this is what they care about. So they will find the reason. If they had you and someone that looked like them, exact same thing, they will choose them overwhelmingly. Every single time you guys betray to go over there, it will end up badly. They don't like us.
Jesus Christ is God, and there is no other God. He is part of the Holy Trinity, and any
This is the exact Christian delusion that I talk about on this page here. This is the kind of religion that needs to be banned from politics. If you are a Christian and you think like this, you are in a cult. Go read a book. You are mentally not well. And these are kids that are saying this. So you can only imagine what their parents are feeding them at home, psychologically speaking. Until the rest of your Christian friends here want to step in and condemn this kind of behavior and why it has absolutely no place in politics. It shouldn't reflect your political policies or regulate or anything because of your religion. We already have a constitution that protects your freedom of religion. Those are the only laws you need. To me, this is disturbing behavior. So until other Christians come out and speak out against this, we are not on the same team.
Okay, y'all. You know what they did to him? They could not come out and say they didn't want to vote for him because, he's that dark brown color. So what they did was use the fact that he was a Hindu against him. So I don't know what makes him think he even have a glimmer of a chance of winning the governorship of Ohio. There is no way this man's going to win that race. There is no way. And as you can see, they pretty much told him, like I said, using the fact that he's Hindu, that they are not voting for him. They are not voting for him. Okay, they just went to something that was safe. The fact that he's a Hindu and not really tell him the real truth. He's way too melanated for them. Yeah, and told him she stood 10 toes down and told him he was an Indian. That's why she would never vote for him. Well, these people at Turning Point USA pretty much told him the same thing. We're Christians. We're Christians. In other words, they're letting you know it's a cold day in hell before they vote for you, a Hindu man. But because it's Vivek, and we know how anti-black he was on the campaign trail with Donald Trump. I really don't care that this is happening to him. It serves him right. For real. I bet he didn't leave out of there so confident, did he? Yeah, I bet you he didn't. Dark Skin Brother, thank you so much for the super sticker. I deeply appreciate your support for my channel. Wow. Mm-hmm. And they just got up one by one to let him know, oh no, you are a Hindu. Bradley Meyer, thank you so much for the Cash App. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he's going to learn whether he likes it or not that them folks, they don't really like him. Not like that. That's why they always come around to kicking these people to the curb. And he's not going to be any, I think they've already kicked him to the curb. I really do. Lonzo Thompson, thank you so much for the super sticker. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I got my final live stream coming up at 9:30, and that one is going to be on the market crash and the crypto crash that occurred on Friday. So I will see you there, 9:30. And remember, it's that calendar Columbus Day tomorrow, and, a federal holiday. So most people should be off. So I will see you then. Shalom, family.